Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial from Rooms of Wonder by Johanna Basford. Now I have been specifically asked if I could show how I did these keys here. Now I did these with Prismacolor pencils, and so although I can't show you do it again, I've only got one copy of the book, which actually makes a change for me with Johanna. We do have a key at the back, and bear with me. Oh, my paper's curling up. We have the end key, so I thought I could demonstrate on this one. So it's a similar looking key ish. We do have this sort of curly business going on. It's nice and big, so so I thought it would be a good one to have a go at as well. The person who asked actually says that some of the smaller keys within Johanna's books are a little bit fiddly, so they found it a little bit tricky to do it. So I thought doing a larger one would be helpful. I'm going to come in a little bit closer, but I'm not going to go too far in because I'm actually going to work through the whole key at the same time. Well, not exactly the same time. I'm going to start with my darkest colour, which here is my dark umber. So Prismacolor is what I was using. Now my gold, I actually started making gold with Prismas before any other colour, and that was because I saw someone had made gold in a picture, and I asked them what they used, and they said they used these specific Prismacolor. I think it was the dark umber, light umber, Jasmine, and something else I can't remember. So I bought those 4 colours and I learnt how to do gold with Prisma, and it was the only thing I could colour with Prismacolors. But now I've got my set of Prismas, I'm learning a bit more. But what I do is I start with the areas that I want to be the darkest. So there's some clues here on Johanna's drawing. So she's got some lines on here. I hope you can see well enough. If you're on a phone and you can't see, do that sort of 2-finger thing and you can zoom in to the video, apparently. So that'll help you. Otherwise, you know, hopefully you can see if you're on a bigger screen. I've taken to, it's a bit embarrassing, I've taken to watching my videos on my television. I don't normally watch myself. It's a bit weird. I'm getting used to it. Listening to your own voice is a bit disconcerting. I just want to say I'm doing quite a light layer. I'm not putting down too much colour. I certainly don't want to burnish. I've got more layers to go on top. So I want to keep it quite light in pressure. Okay. I'm still deciding where I'm going to put all of the colour. I'm just doing it bit by bit, as I think, and I'm doing it symmetrically. I haven't planned this. I haven't looked at the key, so I haven't thought about where my light and shade is going. So I'm just sort of thinking as I go. Anyway, so I can't remember the name of this lovely person who shared their amazing tip on how to do gold, but there we go. Yes, so sorry, no, that wasn't what I was saying. I was talking about the telly, wasn't it? I've taken to watch my videos on the TV. And my husband's got YouTube. We've got a new telly in our new kitchen. Excuse me. Which is almost done. So tantalisingly close to being done. But anyway, that's a whole nother frustrating story I won't go into. We're just very lucky that we've been able to get it done, really, and we can use it now. It's just, there's just the final bits which are taking ages, you know. So that you can press the YouTube button and you can dial into different YouTube channels. So I go into mine and have a look, and actually it's quite fun watching it on the big, I mean, I say big, it's not a huge telly by any stretch, it's quite a small TV, thankfully. I thought he was going to go for something humongous, you know, men, their tellies, or maybe you don't, I don't know. Anyway, but it's quite nice to see how it looks on a big screen, because I'm not used to seeing any YouTube on a big screen. That's quite fun. You can really see me going out of the lines on the big screen. But, you know, I hope that helps keep it real, because the idea is that I don't want to... There are a lot of people out there who are amazing artists who can put together a video that's absolute perfection, and I can't do that. but I want to show you a few techniques where you can have more pleasure with your colouring, and hopefully just encourage you to get your pencils out or your pens out, your books out, and have a go at something, whether it be colouring, drawing, scribbling, anything, just to have a bit of fun. So now I've looked at this key, and there are some areas I've decided are going to be holes in the key. Here, I mean, we need a hole in the key somewhere to put a key ring on, so that's going to be a hole there, and those two bits there, and those two teeny bits there. This obviously is as well, and you could put your key ring through there, but anyway, and that I'm going to leave as holes. I think that's how I'm planning it in my head at the minute. Also, some of these bits I'm planning should look a little bit higher, so that rim there, for example, and this bit here and this bit here, so I'm not putting my darker pencil on them yet. I hope that it's sort of clear enough. So we're moving down and just doing the edge of this. Now we've got this design on here, a sort of swirl, it's like it's been twisted or something. What I'm going to do is make it a bit dark on each edge. I sort of want a shine going down the middle of it because we want to emphasize this sort of shape of the gold, but also we need to separate these little sections. So I'm just doing this bit first because it's easier, and then I'll have a think and think about quite what to do. We'll do that bit, it's easy, a little bit at each end, and the circle is actually quite straightforward, just go around the edge. I'm thinking we need to go over this line. I'm trying to decide, I think it'd be a bit darker underneath, so I'm going to put a line. That's a little bit of a more darker, more defined line than the rest, but we can go back over things after, so if it doesn't show up well enough at the end, I can come back and do a little bit more. Again, these two bits I'm thinking could be holes, although if those were holes and that's the only contact that key has with this with its stem, it's going to be quite a weak key, isn't it? But I want it to look like that, so I have to just pretend it's an ornamental key. Doesn't really unlock anything. I'm also a bit confused because it says there's a key and a lock on every page, or a door. Where's the door on this page? There's a key. There isn't one on the other side, on the palette test page. I know Johanna said there was at least one page where there isn't a key and a door. I haven't looked through it all in that much detail. Okay, so that's all I'm doing at the moment with the dark umber. Sorry, I have to blow my nose. Always runs when I'm on camera. I don't know why, I'm obviously allergic to... Oh, my door, hang on a minute. Right, I am back quite quickly. That was a parcel. We're moving on to our light umber. Now, mainly with the light umber, we're just going to extend the colour inwards a little bit. Oh, I've just noticed I've missed a couple of areas, which I'm going to go back to my dark umber and do. Yeah, the parcel, it was something I'd ordered from Amazon. I'm starting to order a few Christmas gifts, so it's yeah, it's a good fun time of year. Yes, light umber. So I'm going to start the top, and I'm actually go over what I've done already. I don't go over it too hard because with Prisma you can sort of cover over what you've done. They're a little bit different to polychromos where you can still see through. So I'm a little bit more careful. So I've extended those areas in that very top bit, but I'm also going to do a little bit on this bit that we haven't done any on yet. Just a little, just to get that started. Yes, that was my nephew's Christmas present. Well, two of my nephews, they're similar, there's a few years between them. It's a joint present for them because they share a lot of things still. So Apparently they don't mind joint presents. I used to hate them. I'm just putting a bit in here as well. I haven't really thought about it. I'm just roughly putting a bit in the corners of those bits. I used to hate joint presents, but I think being a twin, everything was joint. They just thought you were the same person. People. You know, it'd be like when you're in school, be one of the twins answer. When you're at home, your relatives can't tell you apart. My cousins always could, but my uncles and aunts couldn't. Things like that. And so getting a joint present was just like that, you know, it's like, come on. And it felt unfair because nobody else got joint present. Not that my parents did, but, you know, as a child, you know how a child, it's Christmas, you want your own presents. So, yeah, so I tend not to normally give joint presents, but when my sister suggested that they have this present, she then said they both like it. So I thought, well, I ought to give it them jointly then, because if I give one of them a present that's just for them and then another one that they both like, that also seems a bit unfair. Now I'm being a bit random here, but I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm just extending all of the darker areas that I've done with a little bit more colour. So I've got twins, and a twin with twins, it's very rare. And so I thought I would be the absolute amazing best twin mummy because I knew everything there was about growing up as a twin. That's what you think when you're pregnant. Haha. But no, my boys won. They loved being confused. They are unidentical and they don't even look like brothers. They are so different. However, their teacher still used to get them muddled up because people have a bit of a mental block. They sort of think they're twins, they must look the same or something. I don't know what it is. So you couldn't tell them apart. I can hear a lot of noise. I can't work out if it's outside or someone's television. There must be a television. I wonder if it's mine. Wait a minute. Yes, it was my television. Very, very strange. My new kitchen television has a habit of just switching itself on. I don't know. I switched it off at the wall on the power supply. If it comes on now, that's going to really freak me out. And there was some wheelchair rugby. My husband was watching a wheelchair rugby last night. He said it was fascinating. He was trying to understand the rules. But it was a bit like tag rugby. So I asked my son to explain to him what the rules were tag rugby, and he was quite funny. He said, "You really think we stuck to the rules, Mum, when we were playing?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Bronze. Now, when you get your Prismas, the bronze, I noticed, was together with the metallic silver. No, the metallic gold and the silver. But it isn't a metallic pencil. But it's still a really pretty colour, and I like to use it in my gold. So this is just my next layer, and again we're still just extending that colour a bit. And you can see at the moment it's looking quite dark, but that's okay. And it doesn't matter really what the end colour looks like, I don't think. It's whether it looks shiny that's the important thing with the gold. So you can have different types of gold. You can have this sort of normal gold, or you can have antique gold as well, which is a slightly different shade. So if your gold doesn't look exactly right, there isn't a right. It could be dirty, it could be copper, it could be brass, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just have a go. So anyway, yes, twins. So they used to. I also never decided I would never dress them the same, and they decided they wanted to dress the same sometimes. And it's like, oh, for goodness sake. So no, I wasn't the perfect twin mummy. I knew nothing, apparently, about being an unidentical twin. Only about being an identical twin. Also, being a girl was very different to being a boy, I assume. To growing up, you know, in schools and stuff is all different, because obviously, well, I say obviously, when I was in school, girls and boys didn't talk. I didn't know what boys were like. I had no idea. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I think when you have kids, you learn something every day, something different. Mine now, doing their, at 17, what are they teaching me today? Something about, there was some physics thing they were teaching me, and then we were talking about putting CO2 into rocks and something or other. Yeah, it's always something to learn. I find it brilliant. And they're always learning. They don't see it as a novelty, but as an adult, we learn less than we did as children. No, we're not going to school every day being taught new things, and I think we take it for granted as kids, or it's just different, isn't it, when you're a kid? And when we get to being an adult, you sort of appreciate learning new things. That's why I like watching quiz shows sometimes. You can learn things. The problem is with that, it's just sort of random abstract things. But still, I like talking to my children about what they've learned at college. When doing geology, I mean, I know nothing about geology. It's not something that I ever studied at all. So we're coming in with our yellow. This is the yellow ochre. Okay, so it's still a brownish yellow in a sense. It's not a really bright, vibrant yellow. But we're going to put it over the top of everything again. Now we must, I've done that a little bit squiffy. Hang on. Where's my eraser? Oh, here it is. I've got several. This is the first one I come across. We must leave a bit of white. Unfortunately, my eraser has just smudged my pencil. So now there isn't much white paper. But you can, by leaving some white, it creates the shine. Our eye sees it as shine, and you make them line up. So all of these ones here need to line up, the shine needs to line up. And it makes such a big difference. And it took me ages to learn that, because this person I was telling you about, you know, very kindly told me their colour combo for gold, but they didn't tell me about leaving white paper, and I didn't notice that you had to do that. So although I could get the colour looking as hers looked, it didn't look as gold. But it's just learning, isn't it? So although we're not learning geology every day, perhaps thankfully, I'm not sure if I'm that interested. To be quite honest, we haven't done anything on this loop. I need to do some of my other colours on there, so I'm going to just grab the light umber and do a little bit there. But you know, we're learning about colouring. I did a really good fun, and now my bronze. I did a really good fun colouring picture just now. That's got no bronze on either. There we go. I was watching a YouTube video, not my own. I don't always watch my own, it's just to see what they're like, really. I'm not that sort of narcissistic person who just can't get enough of herself. Can you imagine? I only make YouTube videos so I can keep rewatching myself all the time. Anyway, I was watching a really lovely interview between Suzanne Wimpney-Berry and Johanna Basford. And anyway, I was colouring while I was doing it, and I had a buddy colour set up with a lovely lady in Australia. And it's just so amazing, isn't it, how you meet people from all over the world in this hobby. Anyway, and she has the Colour Cube by Sarah Renee Clark. Now, I've got mine on order, and it's my Christmas present, so I'm not going to be able to open it, but she's got hers already. And she said, can we use one of the cards from the Colour Cube for our buddy colour? I was like, oh yeah. So obviously she had to send me a photo of the card, which was fine. That wouldn't have sat easy with me had I not known that I've got one on the way, so it's not like I'm sort of cheating or, you know, sort of breaking her copyright by using her thing without buying it, because I have paid for it and it's on its way. Yes, sometimes I feel a bit uneasy about these things. But anyway, hopefully you can start to see the yellow coming in, making it look a lot more gold. The picture now. We did that. She chose a couple of pictures actually for me to pick from, and then I picked a picture, and then she picked one of the cards from the colour cube, which was it was a picture from Matchstick Mouse, the floral book, so a very spring-like picture, which in Australia it's springtime now, so it was relevant for her. Not so much for me, but I don't mind. I'm always happy to colour flowers. Now I'm going with the Jasmine. This is my final colour. I will go back in, I suspect, with my dark umber and do a few bits and fiddly bits, but so I need to be so careful now to leave the white. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over everything that I've coloured to bring it together and just take it towards that white gap, but make sure that white gap is still there. Okay. So it was a really interesting challenge because there were some greens, which was lucky. Well, there was one green sort of tone, but what I did was on the back of the cards, it has 3 different colours for each colour. The one that's picked out is in the centre, and then there's a lighter one and a darker one, which is quite useful. So it means you not only have 3 pencils, you have and of course, I assume, I mean, you can make up your own rules, but you could probably use white and black and things like that as well. I mean, actually, the picture, because each card has a picture that is used to base the colours on. The picture had white in it, but I did use a tiny bit of white in the end, or a white pen. But it was really interesting because I would never have used those colours together, and I think this is the whole point of the colour cube, is that you're using combinations that you would just never use. So there was a sort of fuchsia pink section. I used polychromos, so there was the fuchsia pink, then there was a sort of burnt carmine type section with a sort of Pompeian and red. There was this sort of red violet magenta type, and then there were yellows, but they weren't really yellows, they were almost greeny yellows, which I didn't have, so I used ochres because I didn't have the sort of greeny yellow, so I just did the best I could. I figure it's not supposed to be some sort of set in stone thing where you follow it exactly. It's just a guide to have some fun with. So as I say, I didn't have greeny yellow, so I just picked the browny yellows, and it was really interesting and really fun. So that was very eye-opening. I'm looking forward to using them. What I plan to do is sort of work through the box in order. This is my plan. Whether I do it or not, I don't know. And just go through each card and try it. But of course, it may depend on the picture. If I pick a winter picture and then I get a summer palette, it's not really going to work, is it? So I'm not sure quite how it will work. Right, I'm going to give that page a little brush off and then talk you through my thoughts next. I'm going to grab my dark umber again, and I'm going to put in some more shadows in some areas where I think there aren't enough at the moment. So right at the top here, this piece that goes around here, I feel that this is slightly sticking up from this piece, so it needs a little bit of shadow just under it. So I'm really going to just darken that black line that's there already. Now when you're doing this and you're graduating your colour, you need to make your shadow lighter there and darker down there as well, or else it can look a little bit odd. I'm also going to put one here, so I'm putting more layers on my shadow here and then just a little bit in the middle. Like that. It's quite difficult for me not to go out of the lines, but I'm just going to do the best I can. That's all I can do. Okay, so down here we've got a lot going on. I'm thinking this bit might be standing up a little bit. And I did put a bit of shadow in behind here, but I'm just going to go over it a little bit. And in here, I'm going to do quite a bit there because it's already got dark colour in it. And also here, along this edge bit. That sort of disappears around there. We can go all the way around, put a bit in there. I have gone over onto that. It's not ideal. It's happened. It's not the end of the world. As my friend says, her daughter says to her, it's just a colouring book. And it doesn't feel like that all the time. I'm not being unsympathetic. I know it can be really devastating if you make a mistake, but you do need to try and keep it in context, I suppose. It's interesting actually, this interview with Johanna. She was asked how she seems to have such a good attitude all the time to life, how she can see the positives, etc., you know. And she said there's a few techniques that she tries to remember to use. She says, admits, this bit hasn't got any yellow in. She admits she's not perfect, but she says that firstly is to remember, this was one, I've never heard this before, that you're a chimp on a spinning rock. Which is just to try and put it in context. And I realised that sometimes telling someone to put something in context is actually can be quite harmful. It's almost like you're trying to trivialise what's going on, and it isn't about that. You have to. It's about just trying to help yourself feel a little bit better towards it, you know. And she said another one too. You ought to listen. It's a really good interview you may have already done about the fact that if we put all of our problems in a box in the middle of a room, we would still remove our own if we you know, if we dug our hand in and drew one out, which sort of indicates that we can sort of concentrate hard on our own, but there are lots of other people that have them as well. And I don't know always whether that attitude helps me or not. Sometimes thinking there are other people worse off can just make you feel like you've been very selfish worrying about something when obviously you haven't. So you just have to be a little bit careful. But sometimes just stepping back and thinking, is this the end of the world? Sometimes it feels like it is, but sometimes it really isn't. You know, oh my God, my son's forgotten his homework diary. Used to get my heart rate racing, my adrenaline up, when actually he's going to cope. He might get a detention. It's not the end of the world, and he needs to learn to take responsibility for himself. However, obviously there sometimes are much bigger problems than that. But I think it's about trying to perhaps sort through those and work out what is worth worrying about and what isn't, perhaps, is the way to think about it. So let's move on to our ribbon. And I'm looking at my pencils, and this colour here, oh, I can't even see what it is just jumping out of me. It's Crimson Lake, like it wants to go with this gold. So I'm going to use this first on these. We won't use this on the whole ribbon, but on the darker area here, where Johanna has shaded it for us to show us that it's in shadow, so that's useful, like that. And I'm going to use this Crimson Lake to draw in the other shadowed areas. Now, it's quite tricky, this ribbon, I have to admit. But I'm thinking it's going to be shadowed under here and here. And the same on this side here and here. But because this is the same colour as this, I'm going to add a slightly darker colour to those shaded areas. I'm going to grab this Tuscan Red haven't even sharpened yet, and put a little bit just maybe lower down or nearer to the other part of the ribbon, like that. So just a little bit, and then we're going to use the slightly lighter red, I think, for the rest of the ribbon. What's that red? Yeah, the crimson red, we'll use that one. And we'll just extend this out. I think personally I'm going through a time in my life where my hormones are all over the shop, and so it's really easy for me to get very anxious about things that maybe I shouldn't be. And it's one thing I do, which I find really useful for me, I'm going back over the bit that I think should be darker, by the way, is I try to relax my whole body muscularly. So go through my body and just relax all those muscles. I can't do it now while I'm colouring, but that can help me. It's certainly good when you're going off to sleep. If you're in pain as well, it's good, but avoid the area that's in pain. So say I've got a tummy ache, which I sometimes have when I'm because I'm lactose intolerant, can sometimes, so I avoid that bit. So I might just concentrate on my foot and just concentrate on fully relaxing my foot or something like that, somewhere well away from my tummy, or my face or something, you know, so that now these bits are quite light at the ends. I'm probably going to use another colour just to finish those off, and that helps me. And you can, as I say, I often do that in bed, but you can do it anytime, you know, and you have to concentrate. You can colour at the same time. I can't really do it now because I'm talking, so too many things at once, but I'm just going to go over all of this in this colour and then think about what I'm doing with it. But that's a good one. Another one is your shoulders. Notice your shoulders, are they slightly raised? Just push them back a bit. Just push them down and back a little bit, because often when we're stressed our shoulders come up. I mean, if you ever watch dancing programs, Strictly Come Dancing, I love, they're often saying, you know, we could see the tension. You were getting stressed in the dance and your shoulders came up and your neck disappeared. And that happens to us all, not just when we're dancing. You know, your shoulders will raise with the stress, so just push them back. And it actually, when you relax your muscles in your body, it sends messages to your brain that you're relaxed, and that should help your mental state as well. And also the sheer concentration on trying to relax takes your mind away from whatever is whirring away in there. It's so easy to just get too carried away in our head. I keep having a recurrent thought at the moment. It's really horrible, and I had a nightmare. I'm going to use the Carmine Red, and I dreamt that one of my boys, this is a bit dark, isn't it? Oh, I do. One of my boys reached into the oven and got a pan out. They do that, they're 17. And he forgot to use the oven gloves, and he did it, and then he went in and got another one out, and then he started screaming in pain, and oh my goodness, ugh, and it's in my head all the time, that dream. I can't get rid of it, and it's nasty. I don't know whether I need to just talk to him about it, and he'll tell me how silly I am or what, but it's like keeps coming into my head, and of course it makes me feel really stressed. So it can sometimes just be the silliest of things. As I say, I have a feeling that my age, my hormones are mad. It doesn't help me very, you know. Right, I'm just going to get one last slightly lighter colour to go in that middle, and then I'm going to use a blending pencil to just tidy up the red. What I want is a sort of pinky red. I don't really have that. What about that? I'm not very familiar with these. I'm going to use this. This is the Rosy Beige. You see, I've not even used it. I have swatched them all actually, so I have used them. But, you know, not properly. I probably should use them with the colour cubes, because then I would be grabbing colours that I might not have used, and it would be good. I've used the greens quite a lot. I think we always do. That's made it quite interesting. I have got a Prismacolor blending pencil here. I'm not going to use it on the gold. I'm happy with that because I'm practiced in the gold. I know what I'm doing. This is the colourless blender. I'm actually going to go from dark to light. I don't know if it makes much difference actually. I'm hoping it's just going to burnish it down into the page a little bit. Yeah, seems to be good. I have to say I haven't used the Prisma blender with Prismacolor pencils very much. It sounds really silly, but I use it with loads. It works with every brand of pencil I've ever tried it with, and I think it's one of the best blenders. The Caran d'Ache is better if you're using the right type of pencil. It doesn't work with all brands, which fascinates me. But anyway, now when you're doing this, go gently. Be careful, because if you've got a lot of layers of pencil and you've been heavy-handed already, you don't want to keep pushing down on your paper. So just take it slowly and gently. Now, because we've coloured over the words, they've slightly faded, so you could go back over those with a pen if you're confident. I'm not going to be doing that. Now, where we put in the shadow at the edge of here and here, I really can't see it very well, so I'm just going to grab my Crimson Lake and just pop in a little line of shadow in there, just quite a definite line, and the same on this side, and then we will be finished. There we go. And let's just dust it off. And there we go. So there is our key. It feels very final, though we've done the last picture in the book, but there is still a lot of pictures in the book to do that I haven't done. It feels a little bit odd doing the final page, but you know. But there we go. So thank you for watching and listening to me whittering on. I hope that helped with the gold. I know I do it quite often, but this is Prisma's. Not sure I've done much Prisma before with gold, and I don't think I've shown you with the bronze before. So I hope it was handy, useful and fun. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and happy colouring.